In this video, we're given the sum from n equals 1 to infinity, and we want to see what value of p makes this series convergent. So obviously we're going to be using the alternate series test, and we can do that because the b sub n, really the 1 over n plus 1 times ln of n plus 1 to the p, is greater than 0 for n being greater than or equal to 1. And it's alternating, so we can use a test. So first thing is, let's look at the limit. So as if p is less than 0, that means we'll basically have ln of n plus 1, and that's going to be raised to a positive number over n plus 1. And clearly this is going to go to 0 because n plus 1 is bigger than ln of n plus 1 raised to the p power. If p is equal to 0, that gives us 1 over n plus 1, and that obviously goes to 0. If p is greater than 0, then the denominator is going to infinity while the numerator is going to 1, so that's also going to 0. So in all three cases, the limit is going to go to 0. And now we want to show that it's decreasing. All right, let's see. For p greater than or equal to 0, the denominator is always greater than 1, and it's also increasing. Okay, so I forgot to mention that here. It's increasing because n plus 1 is increasing. Natural log is also increasing. So the numerator stays constant, whereas the denominator continues to grow. Therefore, this whole thing will decrease. And now we have to consider when p is less than 0. So if p is less than 0, then we can bring the natural log of n plus 1 in the numerator, and then we'll just put absolute value of p, since p is negative. You take the derivative, you get this thing. We know that n plus 1 squared is positive. ln of n plus 1 is also positive when n is greater than or equal to 1. But natural log of n plus 1 minus absolute value of p is positive only when natural log of n plus 1 is greater than absolute value of p, or n is greater than e to the absolute value of p minus 1. So you want this to be positive because then you'll multiply by negative and make this whole thing negative, which means if the derivative is negative, it's decreasing. Okay, so then all conditions are met. Therefore, we say the series converges for all values of p.